Hey up everybody and welcome back. Alright then, so Beezer didn't turn out too badly, did it? I think it looks quite smart and it seems to run well enough. So we need a new project. Now I'm not quite sure what it's going to be because I have a possible acquisition coming up. I'm not going to tell you what it is because if it comes off, it'll be a really interesting project, and that will be, oh, pardon me, my nose is itchy, that will be an interesting new project for this coming year. But if it doesn't come off, then obviously we won't be doing that, and we'll have to think of something else. Alright, so what are we going to do this week? Well, I'm going to fix that little oil leak on the Otter tank, so that I probably won't even show you that because it's just a question of draining it, taking it off, cleaning it up, putting a bit of JB weld or something on that little block on the bottom which I didn't quite weld up right. So we're going to do this. Now then, I'll tell you, I believe it's the back story to this, and I'd had a thought and then that got me thinking, oh yeah, great, that could well be it. And then I thought to myself, suddenly I thought, no, I don't think it can be. But we'll go over all that. So, alright, Kickstart doesn't work. I mean, it's just solid. So what's the story there? So, Bob was riding this on the day, and I came across him parked up and the Kickstart wouldn't work. Playing around, I'll get to that in a minute. And as I say, it wouldn't work at all. He said you could put it in neutral and it would roll fine, which is how I was able to push it up onto the table here. I'm trying to think if you could kick it over with the clutch in, and I can't remember, and now because I've got the outer cover off, I can't work the clutch, so I can't check on that. But he did mention that with it in gear, if he rocked it backwards and forwards a couple of times and the engine turned a little bit, then it would start to kick, or the Kickstart would have some movement, but then it would stop again. So I towed him back here, and just out of interest, because it only takes like 5 minutes to pop this off, I pulled the side off, couldn't see anything, and then we went on and did other things. And the reason why it's so dirty is because of course those other things included my incident, and nobody was that concerned about cleaning it. It was just a question of putting the bikes away while we wait for the ambulance and stuff. So I still haven't got round to getting the mud and that off it. Anyway, so that was the situation. Now I think it's in neutral now. Yeah. See, everything turns. So I'm not sure what it is. I've had a look inside, got my little torch, looked inside, can't see anything, but of course it's going to be at the back. Now, I had a sudden thought, oh, maybe it's not in the gearbox, maybe it's in the primary chain case, maybe there's something jammed up in there. I mean, that way when it's in neutral, of course, you're not turning the primary chain or anything, so it would roll around. Plus I thought to myself, oh wait a minute, I was starting to get excited by now. I thought, what if something's come loose in there and is jammed on the primary chain? Now, because of the layout of this, the runs of the chain between the clutch wheel and the sprocket are quite long. So what if something had jammed on that bottom one, and of course it's going to go that way, so that when you try to kick it over, this thing on the primary chain was getting to the clutch and jamming in the teeth of the clutch wheel, clutch cage, whatever you want to call it. Possibly then, if you rocked the bike backwards and forwards and you moved it so that the chain was going this way a bit, then you'd start to kick it and things would turn over and it would bring it back to where it would lock up. And I thought, whoa, could I be that lucky? But then I had a sudden thought, I myself, wait a minute, I'm not sure sort of when this happened. It was at the top of a section, so he'd just ridden the section, and obviously if there was something, well, if there was something jammed in the gearbox, he wouldn't be able to ride it. So that's maybe a possibility. Anyway, there's not much I can show you inside there, and I don't want to start taking it apart until we've looked. So let's go around the other side, whip the outer cover off, which, as you remember, the Enfield is nice and easy, one big nut, off it comes. And we'll see if we can, fingers crossed, find something that maybe just came loose at the end of the section when he parked it up, when he first tried to kick it, whatever. You know, it could have been rattling around in there and then settled in when he stopped. Anyway, the only way to find out is to have a look. So let's do that. Right, fingers crossed we find something. Are we going to have a lucky 2024 where things always work nice and easily? A socket would be better on this, but I didn't pick a socket up. Great, these one nut and they never leak. Ah, why does that always happen? All the places it could fall, they always fall right in the oil. Well, I don't see anything at all in there. Everything looks good and fine. Ooh. Oh! Still don't see why that would be a problem, but obviously it should not do that. Right, let me, I've put it on straps at the front. Let me jack it back up in the middle and push the thing underneath so we can turn the back wheel and see what's going on. Just had another thought, of course. Maybe this won't turn because the engine won't turn, but nope, that's fine. Alright, so there's nothing else for it. We're going to have to take the clutch off so we can get the shafts out the gearbox. So there's the pressure plate off, the clutch plate's out. Everything looks fine in there. I've taken the nut off that, so we should be able to get that shaft out. So let's go around the other side and see if we can finagle this gearbox apart. Now we know how to do it. And get all the internals out and look at them. So here's our memory test. You may remember the very first one, might have been right back when I did the Trailblazer. I took everything apart to take the gearbox out, and then I discovered you can actually flip these things around and it does all come out. So let's see what we can manage. I remember it was something to do with the way well, that tap out from the other side. Now there's no nut on it. bit more to lift up. Hang on. Let me switch you off while I find a little drift, soft drift, to get that out. So I have found something. You may remember there was a lot of to and froing with the clutch. I was going to put a scissor clutch on, then I wasn't, and in the end I had to buy all sorts of stuff, so most of this clutch is new. But because I was sort of hybridizing a couple of different clutches, I had to put a spacer in to get it lined up. At least that's, my memory's right. That just slid on there. Well, it's got itself onto the splines and it doesn't want to come out. In fact, it's knocked the oil seal out, which is a pisser. I'm hoping I can get that back in from the other side or something, because I don't want to have to take all the, well, you can't see it, I don't want to take all the ignition and everything off. Fortunately, hang on, fortunately this chain tension and everything, there's just enough room to be able to get the clutch off without having to take everything off, even though it's an endless chain. So let me, this just does not want to come off. I've been fiddling around with it. If the worst comes to the worst, I'll grind it off. You know, grind a cut into it and split it off. But I don't see why. As you can see, it moves, just doesn't want to come off. Alright, let me see if I can pull it off with something. Right, well, I got it off with a 3-legged puller, and now that'll go out the way it should do. And as I say, see, I don't want to have to take everything off, but there's an oil seal here. And if I can get it back in from the other side, I've got things to lever against it. Anyway, let's go around. As you can see, everything is pushed out, so that will now actually come all the way out, like so. That will lift off there, won't it, or pull off there. Oh, there's barely enough room to get there. There it goes. There's the gear cluster. Bit of wear on these two. That didn't really tell me anything. Alright. Well, this is one of those things I hate. We know it wasn't working, we take it apart and we can't find anything, you know. I love it when you find something that's broken or come loose. The only thing I've noticed is I'm pretty sure that should be up against that, because this is pressed on. That should be further on there. There is... oh no, I thought that was a... no, that's just the way it's... so I'll press that further on. What we've got to do now is pull the drawing out, not the drawing, the diagram for the gearbox. Make sure I haven't missed a spacer. But of course the really stupid thing is This ran all season. It was running that day. What sudden? That's why I was hoping I was going to find something broken and jamming somewhere. Why did it suddenly jam up like that? Alright, let me knock that down there, and then we'll look at the diagram and make sure we've got all the pieces we should have. Alright, I've checked the all the bits I've got in the gearbox against the exploded diagram, and I'm not missing anything. Everything seems to be in the right place. This bit here that moved along, that gets pressed on, but I mean it was there. But the one thing I'm hoping this is going to show up, these are really badly worn. I mean, that could cause jumping out of gear. They're worn more at this end than that end. It's starting to break up actually. It's really rough finish. So of course, of the gear clusters I've got, here's a lorry. I have got the one from the Pashley, the one with reverse gear. So these are 22 and 19, they're different. And I've got the Constellation gearbox, which is completely different. So I'm thinking I'm going to buy a new pair of these. Got the entire thing apart. This, you see this one yet? This is really nice, and of course they're new. They're the ones I put, that one and that one are the new ones I put on to lower the gear in. These have a tiniest little bit of wear in them, but they're fine. I'd say they were fine, but they really are badly worn. So that's going to bring this job to a standstill. Well, I'm a little ahead of myself with video. God, they are badly worn. So if I order these today, they might be here in time to put it to get back together. Alright, so let me do that. Alright, so the gears arrived from Hitchcock's. You know, DHL are weird. I pay the extra, it says 2 to 5 days. On Hitchcock's site it says 2 to 5 days, X number of dollars. And then the next one is more expensive and it says like 8 to 10 days, and then every time I get an email from DHL, like this time it said it was going to arrive on Monday the 15th. Was here on the 8th. So I got it in the right time period, but yeah. Anyway, so I'm going to put this together. Just had a senior moment. I'd walked down here without the memory cards to go in the camera, so I thought, okay, I better go up and get them. And I'd been across the road to get the post, because you know here it gets delivered, out in the country it gets delivered in a post box at the end of the drive. So I thought, oh well, if I'm going to the house, I'll take the post with me. So I put my coat on, and putting my coat on just drove everything else out of my mind. I got up to the house and I didn't have the post with me. Terrible, isn't it? Alright, plus while I'm waffling, I think I'm going to have to put a little thing at the beginning of the video saying these videos are for entertainment only. Because, whoops, when I was doing the video I noticed, you know, this is the one that has the clutch on the end, on this end. And of course when I got to the clutch I went, whoa, look at that, that shouldn't do that. Well of course it's going to do that, because I'd taken the end cover off and this nut wasn't on in the end cover holding it. So let me put these on. The big one here is a press fit on, so I'll put these two on. I put them this way so that I wouldn't forget which way they went in. Alright, so Let me put this together and then we'll go and put it in the gearbox. Alright, get ready for a bit of finagling. I've just rechecked the page in the parts book and I'm not missing anything. So let's put this together and see if it works. I'll tell you what I'll do. Excuse my head a moment. Oh, no, I can't reach. Oh, bugger. Let me switch you off while I get the oil can. Right, well, we'll try again. Okay. So I'm a bit out of sync with videos because waiting for parts, fiddling around with paint and all the rest of it that you saw. So sometimes it might not completely make sense. But you know how these things go. Now then, this is where it all has to just go in right, because there are so many bits to get past. I'm going to go past all these knobs on the case. Hang on, did I? Hang on, did I put that in first and then take that out? Things you fiddle around and then snick and in it goes. Come on, snick, snick. Oh. Most of the way that's up, so. Alright, as always, the secret was simple and staring me in the face. This was catching down. I'm looking everywhere and it was these teeth that were catching on the bottom case. And there's enough space to pull this out, get it underneath these, and then that slips in at the back and then you push that in. Alright, now we know. So I've put my little washer back on there. That goes in like so. Washer's on there. And that goes on there. Right, that's actually in first. Let me... First, neutral, second, third, fourth. Let me just put this cover on loosely to hold this in place. Oh, don't let me forget, I've got a new O-ring for here. This is all making me go for oil and feels, you know. Ah, these things should not be like this. Come on. I'm going to turn you off again. Right, I've just run this shaft on the surface plate because I wondered if it was bent. Because look, that goes straight into that bearing. That's the way it should go in, just a sliding fit. Don't seem to be going back. That's not the right washer for that. That's why that wasn't going on. Oh God. Hold on again. Right, have you given up on me yet? I just pulled a little box of Enfield stuff out. That is the right washer. Oh, where the other one came from. That now fits inside here. So that goes all the way in. And it definitely says in the parts book, and that looks like a hardened, more like a hardened shim than a washer. Alright, shall we try again? Yes, why not? We've got nothing better to do. So that's going to go on there. That lines up with that. That lines up with that. And it's not going on. Something down here is still catching. Good, that will come off. Oh, I know what that was. I had it, so you've got to remember to put that on there like that first. Alright. Good grief, Michael! All right. Let me put a couple of screws in to hold it, and we'll see if the kickstart works, and if it does, then I'll put the new oil ring on here and we'll put some gasket sealant on and Alright, mystery upon mystery. I didn't have that spacing washer in there when I took this apart. But it's in the parts book, and there was one in the gearbox parts that fitted. But look at this. I mean, I know I haven't got the kickstart spring on, but I mean, it's really stiff. But notice, it's going round. So let's take, we'll tell you what we can do. Hang on. Let's just slacken that a fraction. There. Look at that. So, hang on, let me feel on the other side. Yeah, the shaft is turning on the other side. Well, you can see actually there. So that's the one that's going to clutch. So why are we a fraction out? Again, you know, I've got various bits. Who knows if that washer is a slightly thicker one. See, that's the only one that's in the gearbox, but I'm pretty sure that that goes on there. Although that should be a lock washer. Well, that goes on there first, and then there's a washer goes on there. That is... Let me fiddle. Alright, I've taken the washer out, and of course that works perfectly, but look. Let me measure how much play I've got there, how much end float, and measure the thickness of that. Alright, technical stuff. So that's pushed all the way in. That's... Where's the little adjuster thing? I can't get at it. Would you believe it? It's right there. Okay, 0. We pull that out. We've got 30th hour play. Here's the washer. Oh yeah. 62 thou. Right, let me see if I've got a suitable thrust type washer that is only 30 thou. Or 28, something like that. Right, I found 2 more of those, one with the Constellation gearbox and one with, I guess it's the internals from the Pashley, and they're all 61 thou. So I took all this apart, and what I did was I put that shaft in the press and made sure, because the gear pinion on each end is pressed on, I made sure they were pressed on tightly. Now I've got 55 thou. Right, so I'm getting close. Now there's a bronze, hang about. There's a bronze bush at the bottom of this shaft for the lay shaft to go into. So let me see if that will press in slightly further, or if it's worn, or you know, there's maybe a ridge on it or something that's just stopping it going those few thou. Alright, this has a pretty thick flange on it, this bushing. So I've just put it in the lathe and taken 1/10 out off the face of it. Alright. So we'll put that back in there. Now things could be so difficult to get just on a shaft, wouldn't you? Okay, and that goes on there. Jiggle that around. Do you know what? This 15-minute job has taken me, it's just gone up past, I've been fiddling on with this for 2 hours. See, you shouldn't let old men deal with anything technical. There doesn't seem to be any end play on it, which isn't really that good a thing, is it? Perfect. Alright, just got enough time before lunch. Let me take this off and show you where the O-ring is. So you may remember I put a sealed bearing into there, so there's no gearbox oil can get through that. This being the concentric type of one shaft inside another, well, no, it isn't really, is it? Because that just swivels on that. So belay that. Now what I'm going to do here, you see, is get this off without pulling any of the gearbox apart. Alright. So, see, there's an O-ring. I'm going to change that O-ring, put some gasket cement on, slap that on. Well, I just had a nasty moment, put it all together, put the spring on, went to turn the kickstart, wouldn't move at all. I thought, I haven't done anything. And then it struck me that the kickstart was round all the way around against the stop. So there we are, everything works fine. Now I'm going to go and have a sarnie and a cup of tea and I sit down. Right, well, there's the gearbox all back together. Kickstart works. Neutral. 1. Neutral. 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, neutral. So you think, great, put the outer cover on. No. Can I find the lock nut that goes on there? Everything else is there except that. So fortunately, it doesn't completely hold us up. So let's go and put the clutch on and see what happens if the kickstart still works. I hope this isn't going to be one of those things where something doesn't work, you take it apart, you can't find anything, you put it back together and it works. Because then you're always thinking, when is it going to stop working next? Anyway, let's go and look at the clutch. Alright, stop panicking. I found it. For some reason I was thinking it was this weird thing, but it isn't. It's just a nut, 5/16 nut. And it was there where I thought it should be. So let me put this out cover on, then we'll move around to the clutch. Alright, that's that side all back together. Okay, clutch. Alright, I've just done some measurements on the back of the clutch and the distance of these splines, and the reason I put that thing on there is the splines are worn a little and the back was rubbing on here, so that's, I don't know, can't remember what it is now, 40 thou or something, just puts that right. And if you may remember when the original video, I did put a straight edge across these teeth and those teeth. So now we've got to see if we can finagle this into here. Now don't forget it came, this is one of those things where it came off one of these jobs where, yeah, it definitely came off. Now come on you came off, you've got to go on. Got to get that onto there. Right, I'm not going to make you watch me just fiddling. Let me clean my fingers and turn this camera off. You saw it come off, so you know it's got to go on. Well, I struggled with it for a while and I thought, oh bugger it, so I've taken everything off. Made some marks, so I should be able to put it all back together again without having to do the whole timing thing. Also, actually, I'm going to have this off. I may as well check to see that these things do line up. Of course, now I need a straight edge. Okay. Actually, that could be do with being out slightly more. So let me get this lined up. Alright, so the video just ended abruptly there because there was so much done on this bike that I've had to split it into two videos. I sort of made one and finished, and then carried on work because it was already longish, I knew. And then I carried on working, and then I found some more problems which you're going to see in next week's video. So this week's video had already got to, or last week's I should say, had already got to over an hour. So what I'm going to do is just cut it short here, and then all the rest of it will be in next week's video, if that makes sense. So I'll Until you see the resolution of our Enfield problems, you stay safe and enjoy yourselves.